In this second video we will continue with more the tests of the new range of third generation acrylics that AK Interactive has just developed. There are 6 different families of acrylics that you can distinguish by the color of its label. The orange label is the range of general purpose colors and therefore the most numerous. The yellow label is reserved for the most intense and vivid colors. The blue label is for certain pastel colors, softer and lighter but with the same paint characteristics as the previous ones. The design of the bottle is completely new and is characterized by a cross-shaped cap with a central recess. That it will be very useful to place a drop in it, thus facilitating its color identification. We are going to use the airbrush to carry out a series of tests and check both the uniform and fine stroke and the high covering power of the paint. 2 of the characteristics of this third generation acrylics. The working pressure will be approximately 1 to 1.2 bars. We will thin the paint with the specific thinner AK 11500 for acrylics, the AK 712 thinner as in this case, or with water directly. In a next video we will see the performance differences between different thinners and water. We must mix according to our taste and needs. Recommended ratios vary from 50-50 to 75-25. As you can see, the line is constant and uniform and can make lines as thin as if we were using a marker. I'm going to speed up the video since it's just to exhibit on how it works. We could empty the cup completely without any stop in the stroke, which is indicative of the zero residue that accumulates on the tip of the airbrush. Regardless of the dilution of the paint, we verify that it has a high covering power and a behavior similar to that of lacquers. For the next test we will use a pastel tone and we will check its covering power. We will use a large amount of thinner and little paint so that it can be seen in an extreme example. We have used a little less than half cup of diluent and about 7 drops of paint. The ratio may be approximately 65-35 or 70-30. We will airbrush on a satin cardboard with a black and a white area to check the difference when covering with the color. The high covering power allows to cover the cardboard in a few passes, even with this dilution. After a few minutes we check that the paint is completely dry and has covered well on both sides, even using this light pastel shade on a black base. For the last test we will use a blue label acrylic corresponding to the metallic family of colors. These colors require somewhat thicker pigments, so their behavior varies from the previous ones. To use these, it is advisable to dilute the paint a little more or less in a ratio between 60-40 to 80-20. We must cover in thin layers without flooding the surface. I will speed up the process 3 times to see the effect faster. After a few minutes the paint is completely dry and we could continue working. Taking into account that we have applied the paint directly on the unprimed plastic, the results obtained are highly satisfactory. The perfect grip is another characteristic of the third generation acrylics. We hope you enjoyed this video and that it helps you with your models. We invite you to follow us on YouTube on the AK Interactive channel with new videos. third generation acrylics. Evolution Matters by AK.